Today is November 22nd. Tennis has officially wrapped up their 2020 season with Alex's friend and UVA, not really graduate, first he went for 1 year, Brandon Nakashima winning the Orlando Challenger, and Daniil Medvedev beating Dominic Thiem in 3 sets at the Nitto World Tennis Finals today. I think it was 6-4 in the third. Hell of a job and big tip of the cap to the ATP and WTA on finishing the season safely and successfully. Hopefully next year we'll have the return of tennis fans in stadiums, but that is definitely a wait-and-see matter. Another big topic in the last few days has been the NBA free agency and the big-time moves some teams have already made, including the Los Angeles Lakers. NBA always stays relevant because the free agency market is dominating the news with many Woj bombs and Bobby Marks. But Alex, let's start by getting into our MVP of the 2020 tennis season. Your thoughts about the year-end World Tennis Finals.
Before we get into that, Clark, I just want to ask you how your day was. We let our listeners know when you win some bets. So how was your day today, Clark?
A little rough. Today's been rough. I had $20 for Kevin Kisner at plus 330, but not 330, actually 3,330. 3,300, and he had a putt, about an 8-foot putt to win the tournament in the first playoff, and lost. And then, the rest of the day has gone downhill. Doesn't look like Kansas City is covering their first half spread, so that's another minus of the day. And if Kansas City can't cover the -7, then we're down some more money. So I'm looking forward to college basketball season on Wednesday, and hopefully, Monday everything changes, negativity into positivity. But we're looking on the bright side right now.
When's your payout?
Tuesday morning, but I already paid out my bookie today.
There you go. That's smart. You didn't want to do a little last-ditch effort, a little last-ditch parlay?
No, I had to get more money. I paid him out, and then he gave me my credit back. So
you got to love the free play.
Yep. So payout again is still Tuesday, but hopefully – he will pay me. So we will wait and see with this Kansas City game, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's get into it. Kids, if you guys are watching, there's protein in here. My season MVP, I think might be – okay, I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go like best player, and then I'm going to go – I don't want to say – most improved, but let's just leave it under that category. So the best player I feel for sure is Novak. Just what he did this year was another amazing year. He balled out the whole year, and he was very, very dominant. Even though he had some blunders, of course, in the U.S. Open that didn't look that good, it was still a good year, and I think he was able to secure that number 1 ranking to finish the year. So that's really good. Runner-up would be Nadal. But then most improved, or I guess you could even say dark horse from whatever perspective you're coming from for, I guess, MVP or whatever, is Andrei Rublev. He made the jump for the first time to top 10. So he climbed up 8 spots to a new high ranking, which got him in the year-end tournament, which is, the best 8 players. So that was a huge accomplishment. And he also won 5 events this year. So I think that guy had an amazing season and took a big jump. Going to something that we're going to get into, I don't think that Rublev is going to be the next guy to win a major outside of the top 3. It's going to be interesting. For me, I really do think, Zverev's time is calling. It's almost like an Andy Murray situation where Murray went to so many Grand Slam finals before he actually won. And Zverev doesn't have many Grand Slam finals, if any, under his resume, but 1. So exactly, not a lot, but he's knocking, and I think he's next. If not, Tsitsipas.
I think in terms of my MVP this year, it has to be Dominic Thiem. He loses in the today to Medvedev, but being the first new generation player to kind of break through, winning a Grand Slam and beating Zverev in 5 brutal sets at the U.S. Open, that was kind of a big moment for those younger guys. And, when you speak of those younger guys, you look at Rublev, you look at Tsitsipas, you look at Medvedev, you look at Thiem, Dominiar, you listen, those crop, Tiafo, maybe, there's probably 10 or 12 inside the top 50. But Team definitely, caught my eye. His record against Federer the last few years has been pretty good, but beating Nadal, beating Djokovic the last few matches, he's got a great record, and he's kind of consistent on every surface. Djokovic and Nadal. Speaking about Djokovic, he's had a lot of up and downs this year, and you definitely saw during the World Finals here against Team that he just didn't look sharp. Maybe his elbow was bothering him, but just his maturity on the court was still poor. And what he did at the U.S. Open, you can talk about it, good or bad, but he hasn't shown me enough maturity. And starting the new kind of the new union that he's beginning to start, I just don't think he was really with it, even though, we're talking about, hey, Djokovic wasn't really with it. He had 41 wins on tour this year, with like 41-3, 41-4.
Yeah, a down year for him is obviously still somebody's best year, like, possible. My only argument is, like, the thing with the U.S. Open, whatever, like, if he doesn't have that happen, which he did to himself, like, he's going to win the U.S. Open pretty much guaranteed, we would say. I think it's what you define MVP as. So if it's like best season, most wins, whatever, or best player, I think consistently he was the best player. And he's just judged to a high standard. That's why you could say somebody like Team. But Team put it together for that tournament. But I think for me, what clinched it for Djokovic was just securing that year-end ranking because, whoever's number one is the best player in the world. That's kind of how it goes.
I think the biggest person that should be most upset this year should be Nadal. Nadal, he had a good year, but he's never won this event, and he lost. He had a chance on his racket against Medvedev. He lost, I think, 6-3 or 6-4 in the third. But, comparing records, comparing Grand Slams, comparing big Masters titles, this one's looming over his head. He's never won it, and he's kind of, I don't want to say digressing is the word, but it's hard for that guy to stay healthy on a hard court and keep up with the likes of Team, Team just drilling the ball and Medvedev just working side to side and Djokovic. So his career on hard court, I think, is slowly deteriorating. He's still, the world's best and will probably be the world's best ever French Open. So, the hard court season for Nadal, he's definitely not looking forward to it next year.
People have been saying that since 2006, though, that he's bad on hard courts. And, it's not his best surface, but he's still achieved great heights on hard courts. I just think, indoor fast hard courts are not, catered to his style. It just is not – it's not for him. These other guys that are more used to playing indoors, grew up playing indoors, it's definitely benefits them. So I do think it's almost a little bit unfair. I guess it is, just the standard because it's always been that way, except for maybe Houston. But the year-end championship has always pretty much been indoors. Before Houston, I believe it was in Germany, and then we had Shanghai as well. So it's just not a good place for him. He's never won Paris either. So that's what it is. I want to know – I thought Medvedev was a little bit disappointing because after what he did last year, and I know he just won the year-end final, so he kind of definitely salvaged it, and just that's an amazing result. He, made history, I think, because – he's the first person ever to beat the number 1, 2, and 3 consecutively in the year-end championship. So shout-outs to him. He's definitely he's one of my favorite players too because he's just a straight-up crackhead. I love him. But Medvedev, though, he didn't have the year we thought he was going to have.
I think in terms of the next crop, look at the big three, Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. I think Medvedev is going to be the one that wins the next Grand Slam. Will that be the Australian Open? No. I can't. You can't bet against Djokovic at the Aussie. But in terms of the U.S. Open next year or Wimbledon, maybe. I don't think Medvedev is that good on grass, but I think I would put some good money down on Medvedev to win the U.S. Open if he stays healthy for next year.
Yeah, Russians are allergic to grass.
Yeah, so he's played okay on the grass. He's awful clay court player. He doesn't even he wants to skip the clay court season every year. But when I talk about the MVP, Team was consistent on every surface. And in my MIP, most improved, without a doubt, is Andre Rublev for sure.
Yeah, 100%. He did so well in breaking through. He really made a jump. I just think he's still like, with that said, I think he's still a couple of years behind guys like Medvedev, Thiem, Zverev, even Kachanov maybe. But
what do you
it's
think
close.
biggest storyline is heading into 2021 in terms of on the male side? I know the female side obviously is, hey, can Serena win?
Yeah, which I really hope she does. We really need her to get that slam and get over the hump. It's been like a curse. I think it's like, obviously it's a record, but I don't think she's won a Grand Slam since she had her baby.
So what is that?
So I
17?
really want her to do it just to get that get it off her back. Like, it'll be very, very important. But I don't know, I think just overall for tennis, I think it's COVID-19. I think, what are we going to do? How is this season going to look? Because there's going to be some areas of the world that are, open, and there's going to be fans in and everything like that. And then there's going to be other areas in the US, like a tournament like Indian Wells. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't foresee anything. They just made everything stricter in LA right now. So what's it going to look like in March? We'll see. But it depends a lot on that. But I think we really do need to bring the fans back to the game, because it just adds an element of excitement. We have seen, just like in the NBA, though, some very, very high level tennis without the fans.
And Nick Kyrgios, he's been active on his Instagram and Twitter. I think he was showing a clip the other day, or posted a clip of him playing Kachanov, that 5-set battle in January at the Australian Open, and the fans were just getting into it. And as an American watching U.S. Open late night, seeing James Blake, Andy Roddick really just try to persevere, and the fans screaming, Blake, and here we go, Andy. That's what makes tennis, and as a fan growing up, and a young kid who, wants to be a part of that environment, and ultimately, plays college tennis or goes pro, plays in junior tournaments. That's what you look at when you're kind of driving to the courts. You think of those moments that you watch on television. So they did their best job to kind of keep tennis going and keep the fans interested, but there's nothing like 15, 20, 30,000 fans just trying to root on a guy, or get under Djokovic's skin. So I think I agree. Will the fans be back in the stadium 2021? I guess
we'll see. And I think it's going to look like, for some places yes, some places no, and that's just going to depend on how everything happens and how the vaccine rolls out. And so hopefully it does go well, because at the end of the day, sports are entertainment, and without the fans, you have nothing. That's a livelihood. And obviously tennis is a great sport for social distancing. That's why it's been able to work. Outside of the NBA and the UFC, I would argue that tennis has been the other sport that's done a phenomenal job with being able to keep their seasons going. So I just think, though, also the fans just create a different environment as far as pressure goes, because it's not like fans are necessarily rooting for a team to win. It's different. You could be playing a match and one day the crowd's with you and one day it's against you, because we play an individual sport, but it still creates a different type of atmosphere. And then there's a playfulness aspect to it, which I think that you do see in tennis a lot, with Kyrgios asking a fan where to serve the ball before the point and stuff like that. So when that returns to tennis, I think it will be good. And I think it'll also give, hopefully people will have a new appreciation for it too, when they come back, and not taking it for granted anymore.
Yeah, it's a wait and see matter. I think everything kicks off again. They're pretty much resting for the next 4 or 5 weeks, and then the ATP Cup is supposed to start the first week of January. So that was exciting tournament last year, but heading into the NBA, doesn't look like these NBA owners have really been affected by COVID-19 with the numbers that they're putting out and some of these guys that they're making. I think the biggest alarm in terms of money is Gordon Hayward signing a 4-year, $120 million contract with the Charlotte Hornets, signing with LaMelo Ball. So that's going to be an interesting duo, Hayward and LaMelo Ball, and, PJ Washington, Miles Bridges, a bunch of those young guys, Cody Zeller. So that will be an interesting dynamic. But I think the team that got pretty damn good in the last 3 days has been the Los Angeles Lakers, signing Montrezl Harrell Dennis Schroeder, Wesley Matthews, and then as of an hour ago, signing Marc Gasol. And it looks like Jordan Bell and Alfonso McKinney will come along. So we'll see if the Lakers sign anyone else. I think they have three spots, veteran minimums, and they're definitely the team to beat still.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing more exciting than the NBA season is NBA free agency. It's literally like the most fun. It's like the NBA is so cool because it's literally like a soap opera. All the drama, everything, it just creates so much excitement. And like Rob Pelinka might be league MVP next year. The job he's done is phenomenal. Like you bringing up some of the stuff like, wow, Gordon got paid, which is crazy. I mean, he's a good player and I'm happy for him, but I don't know if at this stage in his career, after all the injuries, he's worth that amount of money. But I think now he could be because, he can maybe be that focal point again because, he's not sharing with the emergence of like, Tatum or like Jaylen Brown or something like that. So that'll be interesting to see. LaMelo, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be better than Lonzo. Those matchups are going to be super, super entertaining. But Michael Jordan has time and time proved again that he is not the owner that he was as a player. He is taking two different routes. His post playing career has not been as successful when it comes to being a GM and owner. But yeah, I mean, the Lakers, like I'm just going to go through some of my favorite free agency moves real quick. Number one, Rajon Rondo. Rondo did not re-sign, which is fine, but I think the Clippers were offering him a little bag. And he did not go to them, which thank God that had me sweating a little bit. So he went to Atlanta, stayed loyal. Like, honestly, that's his last contribution to the Lakers. That's just one more assist he made. Then after that, Marc Gasol signed to the Lakers. That's a great big man. I think replacing Dwight Howard because he's just a great, intelligent player. And it's also cool that he's like on the same team that his brother won championships with. There's a family tie there. Dennis Schroeder's amazing. He's so good. He's very underrated in this league. So he's going to be huge. And he's also going to be able to take some of the weight off of LeBron and AD as they probably sit out a little bit at the beginning of the season because he can get his. And also the pick and rolls are crazy with that guy. I'm very, very also I'm happy with Montrez. You see that? He didn't want to move. He wanted to stay in the same city, but he did change teams and he came to the good guys. He's not with the Step Brothers anymore. He's not playing in the basement. He came up with the big boys. So that's awesome. I love seeing all the Clippers reactions to that, especially Pat Bev. So I think the Lakers are just looking good. Rob Pelinka did such a fantastic job of not only like replacing who left, but also getting rid of people that probably like underperformed, like Danny Green and Quinn Cook. I'm hoping just because selfishly I love JR that the Henny God is back, but we'll see what happens. What's been the biggest standout to you so far?
I like
there's more to come too with Harden. There's a big fish still on the market.
Yeah, we're not done yet. I do like the moves that some of these bottom teams in the East have made so far. The Atlanta Hawks, they've gotten a lot better. They signed a bunch of guys. They signed Chris Dunn. They signed Rondo. Bogdanovich they signed him, but the Kings have 48 hours to match. So they've signed some really, good younger players to go along with that younger group. In terms of the Bucks, I think the Bucks got a lot better. They added some younger guys, Bryn Forbes, Bobby Portis, some other guys. So everyone's kind of trying to get younger, and we're in positionless basketball right now. So if you can have as many 6'4" guys, 6'4" to 6'8" guys that can play 1 through 5, you can just spread the floor. You have shooters. The thing that really stands out to me is if you can shoot the damn ball, you're going to make more than $5 million a year now. Shooting.
Yeah, those 3-and-D guys are cashing out.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to see what kind of LA still is going to do. The Clippers, the Golden State got better, even though Clay tore his Achilles, which that stinks. There's a Old Dominion basketball player here who tore his ACL last year and then came back and practiced and then tore his right Achilles. He tore his left ACL last year and tore his Achilles this year. So that seems like it might be a little common with ACL injuries, coming back. So that's a little unfortunate for Clay. But hey, they got Wiseman. Then they just got Kent Bazemore, and they're signing some more younger guys. So, it's going to be another parity-filled league. And the Portland Trailblazers, you cannot forget about them. They signed Rodney Hood again. And then they signed Cantor, and then they just signed Carmelo back, and they have another wing that just came over, Trevor Ariza too, but he might be getting traded again. So, a lot of these, if you're in the NBA, you're definitely a damn good basketball player, but the depth on these teams is getting a lot better.
The depth is getting better, especially again, going back to the Lakers, Wesley Matthews, another great pickup. It's going to be interesting because now I honestly think it's not even last year. I felt like it was neck and neck, Clippers, Lakers, but now I really don't know if there's a clear number two. You could maybe say it's the Clippers. I think they still have some moves and some tricks under their sleeves, but watch out for Denver for sure, because they definitely proved themselves last year and proved that they're a major threat and they're coming. And Portland could be good too, but I think the Lakers are looking head and shoulders above. Where it's going to be very, very interesting, I think, is going to be the East, because there's a bunch of teams making moves, and there's a bunch of teams that are very much I think going to be in similar situations, like Charlotte, Atlanta. Let's see what happens there. Even
the Knicks.
I mean, the Knicks are probably going to get Russell Westbrook. The Knicks are still going to stink, but I feel like it's just the entire East is literally going to be a 7 seed. That's what it feels like. There's just going to be a lot of parity. The Miami Heat lost. They lost Jay Crowder, but they kept Goran, which was huge. So that's going to be very, very fun to watch just because of the parity.
And hey, where is DeMarcus Cousins going to go? You don't know. He hasn't been signed yet. I do think the teams that I'm really interested to see what's going to happen over the next few days. Being a Yankees and Giants fan, being a New York kind of guy, you always have a soft spot for the Knicks. And, I've been a LeBron fan and watched him. I want to get the Knicks being relevant is good for basketball. Obi Toppin, let's see what he can do with RJ. They just signed Austin Rivers. They signed Nerlens Noel. They're going to be getting better. But to me, they're going to be better. What happens in Houston? They just signed a great big, probably the best big they've had. And Christian Wood, who's an all-star. I think he's an all-star big. He was in Detroit, wasn't really in the limelight because Detroit's a small market team with Blake Griffin. Everyone looks at Blake Griffin. He's a damn good big. You have Westbrook and Harden. What's going to happen? Hey, you got PJ Tucker. You have Westbrook. You have Harden. You have Daniel House right now is a free agent. But you have a good team, new coach, but hey, they're going to do a bunch of pick and roll stuff, and Wood and Harden, I don't know.
Houston's going to be trash. Harden's gone. Harden has made it very clear. He's going to get traded, and if he doesn't get traded, I bet he's going to sit. He's made it known that he doesn't want to stay there. He's pushing for Brooklyn, which will be very, very crazy. One ball and Russell Westbrook, or what am I saying? Sorry, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. What's so crazy about that?
That team, I don't think Brooklyn would be good with 3-ball dominant.
No, it wouldn't be good. And also, Kyrie would definitely become, the third option, because there's no way that, Harden's going to be the third option. He's definitely, one of the top 3-4 players in the league. So, and we got to see what Kevin Durant looks like, what he's going to be like after the return. So it's just going to be as just a chemistry thing. Going to be interesting to watch, especially, and we talk about drama in the NBA. Kyrie has definitely, been – definitely a proponent of drama and stuff like that. So we'll see, but it's going to be super, super dope to watch both of those guys back playing in the NBA. And I just think the East just has parity. Another cool team, I guess, on the West looking to make a move is going to be the Pelicans. And we're going to get a whole season of Zion, hopefully, if he can stay healthy. And, then those matchups between the Ball brothers, which is going to be very, very cool to watch.
Yeah, no, I do think every team that got better, I can't really just think of a team that's going to be awful this year, I think teams got better. There's going to be more kind of parity. We're using the word in terms of those, 8 to 12 seeds there's going to be a fight for the playoffs. It looks like to me a 70-game season, which is actually going to start in a month. So I think training camp's going to start in about a week, which is going to be crazy. 3 weeks of training camp. I don't think some of the big stars like, LeBron, or I don't think LeBron's going to play the first few games. You need to take it easy and try to rest, get his legs under him. But I think the main storyline is what can these guys do in their home arenas without any fans. The bubble atmosphere was different. There was people there. It was still the NBA did a good job.
It was also the NBA playoffs. If you need like extra motivation to get fired up for the playoffs, like you're in the wrong sport. But for this regular season, it's a lull. It's still going to be a long season, 72 games. A lot of people feed off of the fans to get them through that. So I agree with you. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it. But I think look for some of the teams, though, like some of the good teams, to probably not maybe win as many games. Instead of winning, 60 games, maybe they win like 48, 50 games, but then they really, really turn it on in the playoffs, which is also going to create even more parity and allow, that battle for like 6, 7, 8, make it even bigger between those final, the 12 teams or whatever, because now people are really fighting for it, and that's what we want. We want competitiveness. So it's going to be interesting. Right now, moving forward, like it's going to be dull. We'll still be talking about NBA free agency as it's transpiring, but for now, what we got, and we'll get into the next few weeks, is we have football to hold us over.
Yeah, and college football is starting to get interesting with the playoff going to start in a few weeks. I think it's like 3 or 4 weeks left of the season, so will BYU get in? Will Cincinnati get in? Will Clemson get in? So there's a lot of questions. And in terms of Thanksgiving, it's a sport holiday too, because you have so many games on. You have football games on Thursday. You have college basketball games on Thursday. You have college football games on Thursday. I think Thursday through Sunday is such a great, a great time for sports fans, and hopefully I'll be high up. I'll be just in the green, cashing up big time.
Really? Is there dispensaries out there?
No, I'm turns of money.
No, I'm kidding.
But I'm not going to. Hopefully, not going to be paying my bookie again next week. So, but it's going to be a lot of good storylines, basketball, football, and tennis to come in the next few months. I think it's good for tennis to take a few weeks off, because they've been going back and forth for a pretty long time.
And also just mentally draining, having to be isolated and having to quarantine pretty much every single tournament. So they have a well-earned break, and they're also getting a good off-season in right now. So the quality of tennis should be very, very good heading into the new year. So we look forward to that. The NFL's been crazy. It's been very, very fun. Today, another great day. Look, I mean, the Steelers are really rolling. That's been very cool to watch, and I love Mike Tomlin. And then it seems like Florida has a new Tim Tebow. So exciting stuff. I'm excited for Thanksgiving. That definitely is a sport holiday. That's I feel like that's something that's just like American culture. If I was going to say it right there, it's like Thanksgiving is about watching. It's about watching football. And then also Christmas Day, we're gonna have NBA on Christmas Day, which is always so much fun. So we're happy about that, the way the season's playing out and when it's starting. So we'll see. I'll be here on Thanksgiving. I'll be watching football, maybe with 4 people, because of those are the COVID rules. And Gavin Newsom will be watching with 16, 17. But hopefully these restrictions don't last, and we could start watching some more games with our friends too.
Yeah, hopefully things start to wrap up, and there's hopeful times to come in the world, and we can get fans back in stadiums and arenas, and enjoy that atmosphere that we once took for. We still, I think, still to this day, we take for granted. Watching games 2 years ago, whether they're football, basketball, tennis, you just see the energy that fans bring. So we're praying for better times in terms of health of American citizens and even across the world, and hoping that sports can continue to be a sense of relief and joy and happiness for fans who tune in and watch their favorite team. So thank you guys for listening. This is actually our first Zoom podcast, so there are many more to come, and hopefully we can stay consistent with this, and this one displays and projects well. But thank you to Cracked Brackets, Alex, and we got many more to come, especially on this, hopefully with the Zoom platform. So thank you guys, and have a good week, and let's watch some football, and happy Thanksgiving, and enjoy your time with family and friends.
Definitely. Been a good pod. Definitely, it's fun. It's cool. We're making this transition over to videotaping the pods now. So hopefully that's something that our listeners will enjoy, and maybe bring some more eyes on us. But again, thanks to our sponsor, DraftKings, and happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and stay safe. We'll see you next week. Deuces.